boss in my bag swag.
Hello there, beautiful human. My name is RidersDX. Welcome to my channel, where today we're gonna party to a purple. But before we get started, a quick shout out to Raymez G. This is a fan art of Metal Duckles that they drew for me. And I really like it because it's like a pixelated like icon of Metal Duckles, and it just looks really smooth and well done. And man, I wish I could make pixel art like that, you know? It'd just be really great. So thank you so much, Raymez. I really appreciate it. Anyway, for today's video, we got party hats, Taylor Swift music, and the partiest of all party games. Oh, sorry. Party games. I've had quite the up and down journey with them. When I was a kid, for some reason, I had this strange fascination with party games. I was just so interested in them. I was a huge fan of games like Fusion Frenzy, the Mario Party games, and pretty much every Wii title that existed. I went through this phase where I saw myself as the Wii's target audience. I was what you would call a casual gamer. I loved playing my Wii Sports, Mario Party 8, Rayman Raving Rabbids, and this one. But in reality, I was far from being casual. I mean, come on, I run a f***ing YouTube channel about Blue Hedgehog and a Yellow Sponge. Nowadays though, playing most of these games doesn't really do much for me. I sort of don't get why I was so fascinated with all these games, if I'm being honest. Maybe it was just the flavor of the month, maybe the hype around Nintendo put me under the spell of obedience that they had found the next huge thing in gaming, but I theorized that the real reason I love these games so much is because it made life feel a little bit less lonely. What better way to simulate social interaction than to play a good game of Mario Party with the AI? I'm fine. Speaking of Mario Party, obviously Mario is the cream of the crop when it comes to party titles, despite the criticism the spin-off series often gets. So like that stubborn classmate that always tries to cheat off of you, Sonic first tried his hand at the party game genre with Sonic Shuffle, which I desperately want to play one day. But in the meantime, I have the real party game that people constantly forget about, Party Mode in Sonic and the Secret Rings. Sonic and the Secret Rings itself was an extremely interesting game that needs a whole nother video of its own to dive into. But one of the reasons this game is so interesting is because it essentially features a whole other game for its multiplayer mode. Party Mode was basically made in response to the uptrend in party games going on during this time period. Everyone and their mother basically put out a motion control vomit fest. But honestly, a Sonic party game is not the worst idea in the world. Sonic is not just a video game character, he's a franchise, a multimedia franchise. And often, multimedia franchises get pulled in all sorts of different directions to expand their audience. That's why it's a little bit puzzling to see this whole mode shoehorned into a single game when in reality, if it was spruced up a bit more, it could have very well been sold as a standalone title. The party mode is set up much like any other party game. There are a total of 8 playable characters and you can play through 40 minigames across a bunch of different modes. The only connection this mode has to the actual game is that content in the party mode is unlocked through collecting the red rings fire souls in the main campaign. But other than that, this is a standalone game with its own quirks and traits. The 8 characters might leave something to desire when compared to its more developed counterparts, but we have to judge this a little bit differently from a typical game since it's not actually a full game. Plus, the selection is pretty solid, with top tier choices such as the woolly mammoth, Ozzy Osbourne, and the scariest bitch in town, and actually we need to run away like right now and you will soon learn why. Once you get to the main screen, you're immediately greeted with what has to be the 100th voice actor change for Omochao. I mean seriously, did the previous voice actors just die or something? Did they? But you're also met with quite a few modes to choose from. You have the typical board style gameplay that will immediately remind you of Mario Party, but it's a more simplified version. What happens is Omochao reviews a treasure that you're supposed to find to gain a point. The goal of the mode is to collect a certain amount of points before the others to win the game. You then play a minigame and your rankings in the minigame determine how many spaces you can travel. When it's your turn at the board, you can move in any direction towards the treasure chest, which you can open to see if it contains a treasure. The strategy comes in especially near the end of the game when you've all collected a good amount of treasure chests already and Omochao starts choosing treasures that you may have already seen beforehand. So if you rank first in the minigames and remember what the previously open treasure chests were, you should be able to win this game pretty easily. Yeah, not me. Nope, Little Miss Perfect Cream of the Crop won the game within 15 minutes, but that's okay. I'm not a competitive person. I don't need to win to feel better about myself, unlike some people. The other modes in this game, however, are pretty unique. At least I don't remember seeing modes like these in other games. Some of them are really fun, while others aren't really the greatest. I have to say my favorite mode was World Bazaar. This one is really interesting because the goal of the game is to buy enough of the correct carpets to earn the most cash at the end of the game from selling them. The amount you get for each carpet though depends on how rare the carpet is, and by that I mean how many other players have the carpet as well. After you play a minigame, Omochao presents a carpet that players can bid money on that they earn from playing the minigames. The player with the most coins is the one that buys the carpet, but they have to spend all their coins on it once they do. You are the only person that owns that carpet by the end of the game. You get a max 30 points for it, but if other people own the carpet as well, you get smaller revenue from it. So this game becomes pretty strategic because if Omochao is presenting the flame carpet for the 5th time, but you have yet to buy a carpet because you were waiting for a rare carpet to pop up, do you buy the carpet to have something to sell before the game ends, or do you wait for Omochao to hopefully bring a carpet that hasn't been sold yet? Or maybe the carpet is already owned by the person winning and you want to decrease the profits, so it would be in your best interest to buy the carpet as well. These are just some examples of the ways you could go about deciding whether or not to buy each carpet, and I love it. It's probably the mode in this game with the most strategic input involved, and I sort of wish there were more weird modes like this in the game. You know, I really enjoyed trying to outsmart the computer players and being like, okay, is this a good carpet to buy, or is this a carpet that I should avoid and save my money for something else? It was really fun to strategize like that, and I really do wish there were more modes like that. Another one that I really enjoyed was called the Pirate's Coast mode. This mode is much more skill based, as the whole goal of the game is to sail your pirate ship to the treasure before your opponents. The way you can do that is to win as many minigames as possible, because the person that wins the minigame is able to travel the most spaces forward. The only element of luck in this game is if you land on a green carpet space, it can either hold you hostage for a space, slow you down, speed you up, or even transport you to a different space entirely. But these don't occur that often, and the mode is still primarily skill based. I liked it personally because even though it was basically a glorified minigame mode, it was cool nonetheless of having the visual of sailing like a pirate to go along with it. I've always wanted to be a pirate, okay? Sometimes you get bored of being the nice guy. Unlike the tournament mode, which is basically exactly what it sounds like, you versus one other person in a tournament ranking structure to determine who the winner is. This mode was kind of to me because I had to sit through half of it watching the CPUs battle it out, but some people like the tournament style, so I guess it just wasn't my cup of tea. My least favorite mode in the whole game though has to be Genie's Lair, and the main reason is, quite honestly, how long it takes to finish it. I mean, come on man, I have a life. Sort of. I gotta finish my 10,000 playthrough of Sonic Heroes. But okay, here's why this mode takes so long. Basically, you're in this creepypasta looking lair with rows of treasure chests in front of you, then you play a minigame. The person that wins gets to open up a treasure chest, which can either contain coins or a genie. You don't want a genie. The genie basically wastes your turn as you lose all the coins you might have collected in that turn. The face of the characters though, when they pick up the trapped treasure chest in a genie's lair, is so sad. Knuckles is literally traumatized for life. Because of this, Cream the Rabbit, who I for some reason set on hard difficulty, kept winning most of the games, and each time she only selected one treasure chest and ended her turn. Because of this and the fact that there were over 20 treasure chests, the game is already guaranteed to last almost an hour. And to top it all off, not only do the genies waste your turn, but at one point, with there being like 2 chests left, I opened up a genie who in turn put 10 more treasure chests onto the space. Like, why? What was really annoying about this game is that at one point it was so obvious Cream was going to win given how far ahead she was and how many chests were left to open, but the game would not end until we opened up all the chests with coins in them. Even if I collected all those coins because I was in second place, I still would not have beaten Cream. So why were they making me play through the rest of these games? They honestly dragged on for way too long. The worst thing about this mode is that though there are settings to change the rules, the only rule you can actually change is whether or not there are genies in the game. No option to reduce the amount of treasure chests or anything like that, which is a real mess step. I definitely would encourage you to steer clear of this one, especially with there being plenty of other fun modes. But enough of the modes, let's actually get into the meat of the game. The games. The minigames are pretty run-of-the-mill motion control vomit fest. They're pretty simplistic and quick, which makes sense for a party game like this. To be honest, it's pretty hard to make any substantial comments on these games because to me they're not good or bad, they're just there. Nothing really all that significant about them. I think it's pretty challenging to make these 1-minute minigames have a long-lasting impact on you beyond the game because, well, they're all just a minute. Some of the minigames are pretty fun. I did enjoy the ones with the canoe, when you're flying in the sky, and there's just something oddly satisfying about whacking wood with a hatchet. Though So some of the mini games I could not for the life of me figure out how to play. There's this one, for example, where you push a shovel into a pile of treasure and you need to pull it out without waking up that poop emoji like thing that's sleeping. But even when I held the damn Wii remote still, the shovel was twitching around like crazy and I just couldn't not figure out how to stabilize the control of it. It was bad. Of course, you also have those games that are completely luck based. I have such a conflicted mindset about these games because while they're always the cheapest games to play in party games, it also can serve as a way to keep people who may not be as good at these games engaged by giving them a win every now and then. So I think they have their place, but I certainly wouldn't go and select them from the minigame menu. And of course, you have your minigames that are just weird. Exhibit A, the Violin Recital. In this game, you move the Wii remote up and down to mimic the piece that was played for you. I actually really enjoyed this game because 1, it worked, and 2, watching all these Sonic characters play the violin is an image I'd never forget, especially if they do it poorly. Exhibit B, Mini Golf. And the reason that this is weird is because, well, just look at how big they look on the field. Like, it's actually frightening. Like, I know it's mini golf, but sheesh, they look like giants, literal giants. I don't know about you, but there's nothing scarier than a giant cream the rabbit. I'm just saying. So, what's the final verdict on party mode in Secret Rings? Does it revolutionize the party game genre, leaving the Mario Party clones in the dust? Or does it fall flat on its face, remaining in history as another failed Sonic experiment? Well, it's neither. It's just a fun way to pass time. I admit, it's not a mode I see myself coming back to anytime soon, mainly because I don't have friends who play games, or friends at all, but if you and your crew are just looking for a somewhat fun thing to do on a Friday night, it's really not a bad option. The minigames are easy to understand and get into, and you got a decent variety in ways to play with some pretty fun scenarios. So I'm not going to overthink this. I'm not going to try to answer the question as to why Sega decided to implement a whole party mode into a Wii title. I'm just going to take it at face value. Party mode in Sonic and the Secret Rings is a fun distraction from the main campaign and a decent option for entertaining acquaintances. And I, for one, appreciate its place in the Sonic and gaming universe. And that's it. Well, to cap this all off, I said we get this party started. I really need this actually because I just turned 25, so I'm having that quarterly life crisis. Let me just make sure I get all my pain suffering out of the way before we get started.
I ain't don't like you! I ain't don't! I ain't don't!
Anyway, thank you so much for checking out today's video, y'all. I really appreciate it. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a while now. You know, I just find this mode to be so fascinating. You know, it's just such a weird piece of like Sonic content that like we don't usually get in like a mainline Sonic game. So I just wanted to make a video to talk about it and also just kind of get us all in the party mode with New Year's coming up and such. And so yeah, so please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe to my channel if you like videos like these, want to see more in the future, follow me on Twitter or Twitch, and join my Discord server, the Spongy Garden. Special shout out to Team Ride with Sonic Gamer, Reese Gaming, and Glitched Alpha. These are my patrons / YouTube members. If you'd like to become a patron or YouTube member, get access to a whole bunch of different perks, then please check out the links in the description box below. But alright, this is Riders, riding out. Yeah.